Okay, so A is negative 9.8 because we called down negative. That's the only thing we know for our chart so far. We're setting up and solving for A and B, and we drew our diagram. So to solve for A, I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of the angle's 25. A is what I'm solving for. C is 89. So I figure out what the cosine of 25 is first. And the cosine of 25 is 0.906. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by 89 because I'm trying to get the known value. The thing I'm wanting to try to find is A. So the opposite of division, which is what we're doing, we're dividing A by 89. The opposite of division is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 89. When I do that, we're working on the review. Do you have a copy of it? Okay. We're just working on one of the topics and want to pick up and follow along with this. All right, so the answer I get is 80.7. So that is my A value, right? I just found that. A is the forward velocity. The forward velocity is V for the x column. So I just found the velocity forward. That puts it in the x column. And I just write V equals 80.7. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing. But now I'm going to do it for sine instead of cosine. So sine of the angle, the sine of 25. And that one, sine is B over C. So figure out the sine of 25. 0.423. We'll just round it 0.4. Yeah, we'll do 423. I did 3 over here. B over 89. Multiply both sides by 89 again. And we get 37.6. So that's my y velocity, but more specifically, it's my y velocity at the beginning. So it's vi equals 37.6. Okay, so we got it so far. We just found my x and my y velocities. I found A and B. I'm done with part A. I'm ready to move on to part C. So how long will it take to reach the max height? So max height is D. but specifically it's d in the y column. So y is vertical, so we're looking for height, we're looking for d in that column. However, to solve for d, I need to know three things. I know a, that's 1. I know vi, that's 2. I either need to know the time or... Oh, wait, solving for how long will it take? My bad. We either need to know the d value or we need to know the final velocity. Now, it does not tell me how high it went. It doesn't give me any specific information about the vertical motion. It doesn't tell me a whole lot about that direction. Because of that, I can't use d. So I have to know the final velocity. Well, it's talking about the maximum height here. Anytime we're talking about the maximum height, we are talking about the time to get to the highest point. At the highest point here, the velocity is 0. Because it's not going up. The y velocity, I should say. The vertical y velocity is 0. Okay? The vertical y velocity is 0. So Vf is 0 for the max height. And that's because it hasn't gone up anymore, but it's not going down yet. So at the maximum height, V is 0. So now that I've got that, I've got D, I've got A, I've got VI. Notice I'm using the B value, not A or C. So I'm using the Y velocity here. And then lastly, the final we said was 0. So plug the numbers in. I need an equation with T, because I wrote the wrong thing down. I need an equation with T, A, VI, and VF. So I look through my equations. I'm looking for my constant acceleration, my y direction stuff. Okay? And I'm saying to myself, what equations got VF, VI, A, and T? VF, VI, A, T. So Old Faithful is the equation we're going to use here. So VF is 0. VI, 37.6. Plus A, which is negative 9.8, times T. So subtract the 37.6 over. Divide both sides by negative 9.8. And you get a time of 3.84 seconds. Okay, we're almost done. We just got part D to do. And yes, I know these problems take a long time. Make sure you give yourself enough time on the final forum because, like I said, they'll be in separate questions, like A, B, C, D would each be a separate question. But you want to be careful to give yourself enough time for them. Okay? Last thing we got to do. I guess I wrote that this is actually B, then C, then we're going to do D now. Okay, D. How far will it go in the x direction? So that's pretty obvious to me that we're solving for D for the x column. All right, solving for D for the x column. But we need to know the time. Be careful. Don't just automatically assume it's the exact same time I got here for the y. So the time I got for the y direction when I solved was 3.84. But that's only the time to get to the highest point. I don't want that. I want the time to get to the end. So I need to figure out how long is it going to take to go the whole way. The good news is it's very easy to figure out. If I know it takes this far long to go halfway, then I double that, and that would give me how far to go the whole way. Okay? So the time I'm going to use is 7.68. The velocity I'm going to use is the x velocity. Yeah, let's do it in the right color. The d we're using is double the distance, or sorry, the time we're using is double the time. And so now we just need to solve. V equals d over t. X direction is constant, so that's your constant direction equation. 80.7 equals d over 7.68. D 619.8. Now, if your number is slightly different than mine because of rounding, not a big deal. Don't worry about it.